Hi, everybody.
Hello.
It's Kim and Jen from Fleece and Harmony in Belfast, Prince Edward Island. This is our knitting podcast. We're going to do a proper introduction this time.
Okay.
Okay.
Except for when you just said that.
Yeah, because we talk and talk and talk before we actually introduce.
Which you're
ourselves.
doing now. Okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
Okay.
Proper.
So we are the co-owners of the Fleece and Harmony Woolen Mill that's located in Belfast, Prince Edward Island, and we do a bi-weekly podcast, and this is it. So if this is your first time joining us, welcome. It's actually episode number 29. So thank you for joining us, to all the people that have been watching us for 29 or 28 episodes. You're seeing this on January 3rd if you're right on the button. And we make wool yarn in our mill.
Sheep make the wool, we make the yarn.
Yeah, our sheep, we have a sheep farm. The sheep make the wool, we make the yarn. And we're going to talk a little bit about our yarn, this podcast, a little bit more than we usually do. And we're pretty avid knitters. We're knitting all the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have anything to say about that?
I just finished this at 10 o'clock last night.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I haven't knit today so far, but it's coming.
Yeah, exactly. We knit every day.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
So, and we talk about, in the podcast, we talk about our farm and our life here on Prince Edward Island and all kinds of stuff. And just a fair warning, farm life is not always pretty or polite, but we're very real. Yeah, so we talk about all kinds of stuff.
Farm stuff.
So, and we usually start with a farm update.
Yes.
So in case, now this is, this will be almost 6 weeks since Charlie was sick. So we'll just say she's still doing well.
Maybe? It's 4?
It's 5, I guess.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So she's, for people that have been watching the last 2 episodes, we talked about Jennifer's dog, Charlie, who's still doing great.
Yeah, she is doing great.
Yeah.
I sort of, look, I don't even know how long it's been. So she wasn't, was told she wouldn't make it to Christmas, but we're past that now, and she does seem to be doing perfectly well. So she's getting all her extra iron supplements and stuff like that. So less Haagen-Dazs, because she looks a little bit like a seal now.
Yes.
She really
gained a little bit of weight, but that's okay.
Yeah, she gained like 20% of her body weight.
And we know that she's like on the right track because she's barking again.
Yeah, she's just like an obnoxious schnauzer again, which is great.
Yeah, everything's normal.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's good news. And there's not really much going on around the farm as far as animals go. Everybody's just doing what they do in the winter. Yeah, snow removal. We're filming this on New Year's Eve, and there's supposed to be a big storm tonight, so everybody's concerned about their New Year's Eve plans.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Everything's okay.
Yeah.
People probably watch, they're like, why is everything such a surprise to her all the time? I just, I gave up media, you were 6 months ago, and I never picked it up again. I have no idea what's happening.
Yes.
Kim tells me.
Yeah, anything that you need to know. You're on a need-to-know basis.
And I don't really do personal social media or anything very much.
No.
So if there's a missing cat or something, I share it. And so I'm like, oh, there's a big storm tonight.
Yeah.
She just dropped out of the clouds.
Right. And I watch the news every night. So if there's anything important going on. And the big thing right now in the news, which is quite disturbing, is actually all of the bushfires in Australia.
Yeah, see, disturbing right there. I'm like, no.
It's really, every time I watch it, my heart is just broken. And all these little, of course, the clips that make a lot of news are the people trying to save koala bears and stuff. It's terrible. And since we have animals, farm animals, every time that there's a fire, that's our biggest fear, is about what's going to happen with the animals. So we really, we have viewers that are from Australia. So I am not familiar at all with the geography of Australia, and it's a pretty big country.
And a continent.
Yes, a whole continent big. So I'm not sure where some of our the people that view us and comment on our things are located, but we really hope that you're all okay.
It's got to be stressful.
Yes, it's terrifying, I'm sure. And, temperatures, there's actually a bunch of firefighters going from Canada. They're leaving today, I think, on a flight.
From BC?
They left yesterday from BC to go and help, and they're doing things like, I guess they'll be doing actual firefighting as well, but there was a need for like logistics people and like a command center type, so they're doing some of that. But interesting, and sort of on another note, I was reading, there was quite a long article that popped up in my Facebook feed about if it's too late for people to escape where they live, to evacuate, there's a whole protocol about how you shelter in place during a bushfire, which is quite different than other kind of natural disasters. Or man-made disasters, I guess. In this case, I think they're natural, but who knows? Anyway, forgive me for not knowing about that. But one of the, there's all different kinds of scenarios and how you should handle it to give yourself the best chance of survival in all these different scenarios. And in every one of them, they say that if you have a pure wool blanket, that's a key point. You can cover yourself, I guess, with the blanket, but they stress in capital letters pure wool because of course synthetic would melt. But I was just amazed about how that's actually a good way, because if anybody doesn't know, wool is resistant to burning. So if you have a live flame up against something that's made out of 100% wool, it'll burn, obviously. But once the active heat source is removed, it goes out. So if an ember was going to land somewhere, I guess it's to shelter yourself from the embers because they're flying everywhere. Yeah, okay. So if an ember was going to land, it would burn the wool on the surface, but as soon as the heat starts to dissipate, the blanket won't catch on fire.
Because I do put my knitting ends in my fireplace sometimes, and they do burn.
Yeah.
Like little bits right into the open flame.
Yeah.
Will.
So if it's an active flame, it'll burn.
Right. Oh, okay.
But once the continual heating of the heat source, then it goes out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh, it
so
sounds
it's amazing.
awful. Yeah, I really hope everybody who watches us isn't anywhere near that, but it seems like it's pretty difficult to avoid.
Yes, I've seen a map.
It seems to be all over the country.
Yeah, and the guys and girls that were heading over, I don't know if it was, because I usually am a day behind on the news, so I watch the news every day, but I'm always a day behind.
Not such a good help for me.
They were saying, like, I don't know, I think the temperature is like at 45 degrees Celsius, like just the ambient temperature, it's incredible hot, really hot. They're not used to that, and it might even be higher than that. So that's, anyway, we really hope that everybody is staying safe and when hopefully it's over soon.
Yeah, when you say when there's a fire, we think about the animals. We haven't had fires, but you just mean fires in general. Our mind always goes to what people would do about their livestock and things like that.
Yeah, and we've talked about that before here, about how fearful we are of things happening in the barn and stuff like that. And I guess it would be not quite, it's not the same, but it's also when there's a natural disaster like the hurricane. Yeah. It's always about the end, because you can't logistically, there's not really much you can do. You're not evacuating the animals.
The sheep would be in a panic.
Right.
Yeah, so we don't lock our animals up for that purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
They're never in a building unless it's an absolute emergency, because buildings are actually dangerous, and no, you cannot orderly evacuate. Like, there's no fire drills with sheep.
Yeah, and they panic.
They can barely sort out.
And horses are even worse.
Running each other over. But at least a horse, I think they say you put something over their head. Like, you might have a couple, and if you blind them, you can probably lead them out, hopefully a little more calmly. Yeah. Put your jacket over or whatever, but you're not doing that with 100 sheep.
No. So anyway, it's really, I'm sure I can't imagine, it's very stressful. So anyway, we all the best. We're thinking of you guys, and so that's not a very happy way to start the podcast.
This intro is quite great so far. I like your new method.
So I just thought it was important to mention it, because
all the people connection's cool.
Yes. Yeah. So, not to minimize that, but we'll turn the page on that now. And so today's episode, we have lots of whips, and we've got an FO to show. You might guess what it is. And we have a shop update. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff, and then who knows where the conversation goes.
Right.
That.
Hopefully not in as many directions as last time.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of fun.
That was fun.
Yeah.
And thank you to the person who suggested we might have already been into the booze.
Yeah. The Christmas cheer.
We were. I'm like, sadly, no. Can you imagine if we had been?
Yeah. Exactly.
That's frightening.
Yes. Okay. So before we get started, if you enjoy our videos, then don't forget to hit the thumbs up, and we'd really love it if you subscribe.
Yes.
Yeah. So subscribe to our channel, and then won't miss any of the fun.
Right.
In action.
We're headed into our 30s.
Yeah.
As it turns out, which
yes.
the last half went really fast.
Oh, the 30s. I was going to say 30th episode. Yeah, not age-wise.
I wish.
Yeah, that's in the rearview mirror.
long in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. So that's it. So we may as well start with the big showstopper.
All right. So that's funny that you would use that term showstopper, Kim, which I don't think you've ever used before. But guess what?
The show
stopped. It stopped the show.
You're right.
So we're back the next day after my phone shut off.
Right. So if anybody's one of these kind of people that like to watch movies and find things in continuity of movie, so you'll notice the setup looks different. The sun is shining.
I think I put a ring on and I didn't have on yesterday too.
Yeah. So we're not even pretending.
No, some of us think our hair looks better and some of us think our hair looks worse, and you decide who's who. But my phone stopped, which if you've been watching us all the way through, you know that's been an issue. Finally figured out what does it.
Yes.
So if that's happened to any of you, it's when a notification, certain apps, when their notifications come through, it will stop the video.
Yeah, which is really not great.
I was saying yesterday, I'm like, what if a UFO was landing? And then because
Your one
CBC
chance to
News
film
send
it.
me a notification, my video shuts off?
We don't
Come
know
on,
about
Apple.
CBC though.
No,
do
I don't know
We don't know
what
what
it
it
was.
was. If we could figure out what it was, that would
I
make
would
it
just
easier.
So we have the phone on Do Not Disturb now.
Yeah.
So hopefully that fixes it. And 3 iPhones later, because I've traded them all in.
Well, the first
thinking-
one had sheep poop on it, so
Yeah, that was different.
that was different.
Remember, we're not talking about
Oh yeah,
poop.
that's right.
Okay. All right. So yeah, the showstopper is the STEPASIDE.
Yes.
Yes, not that
no,
nonsense.
literally showing.
It's just so funny when I went back and you had said that. I was like, well, there's where we'll cut it.
Yeah, perfect. Okay.
So no clever editing required.
Yeah. So since we figured it out, I am gonna say that sweater is the showstopper.
Yeah.
So we went into all the details about this is actually New Year's Eve and what. So now it's actually New Year's Day. And if we look totally rested, that's just how big of losers we are, because there was supposed to be a big storm last night, which started out looking like it was going to be a big storm. So we canceled our plans for New Year's Eve, and then it went. Pfft.
It was pretty windy.
Yeah,
throughout the night.
but it wasn't like we couldn't have gone to New Year's Eve.
No, it turned to rain.
However, dear friends had invited us, and we felt really bad because then they texted us back and said, "There's lots of food," but we were already in our pajamas. So sorry, Angela and Kevin.
Welcome to the Maritimes.
Yes.
Do you know how many people have planned their weddings here only to have them ruined by our weather?
Yeah.
Like, imagine that.
Well, you have to always have a plan B.
It's a June wedding. Oh, hail. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right,
you always have to have a plan B. In this case, our plan B was nothing. We'll just get in our pajamas and eat leftovers and literally go to bed by 9 o'clock.
You're like, I've got steak sandwiches. I've got pepperoni.
Yeah.
We didn't even have like.
No, we did. We had a little drink of mulled wine. Yeah, because we had been planning for a little while to go to like a real party, like real people.
Thoroughly covered. Real
on
people.
Real
people.
Yeah. So I think I have rabbit hair in my eye. I'm on a big bunny brushing campaign.
Okay, most likely. Okay.
Yeah.
So the showstopper that will literally stop the show is my STEPASIDE. So this was actually released this morning by Jennifer Beale, but you'll be watching this a couple days later. So January 1st, Jennifer launched this pattern made out of our Aran weight yarn and a knit-along.
Yes.
And she has prizes and things lined up. And so you can head on over to her Instagram page and her Ravelry, which of course I'll put below. And you can pick up this pattern. So.
And the color she used was Autumn Birch. Yeah.
And I chose to use slate because I cannot wear gold.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love all the oranges. You know how crazy I am about oranges? I cannot wear them.
It looks super fantastic in the slate and the natural, but it also looks really gorgeous in autumn birch.
Yeah, if you can wear that.
Yeah.
So I test knit this, as you know, and so I knit it from the draft, which I'm not sure how much I helped, because you know what I'm like with modeling patterns and whatnot. I'm probably the worst test knitter on the planet, because I make stuff up and skip lines and, you know, whatever. But I did manage to give her a couple little bits of feedback, like, you should say bind off there. Super helpful technical details that I really like just zone right in on with the precision of an engineer.
Yeah.
So anyway, I absolutely loved knitting this pattern.
You did. You talked about it all the time.
I loved it. And the best part about it is, someone asked me yesterday and I said, well, the best part about it is there's no sleeves to knit. And I got the little emoji that was like, oh. But there isn't, because you knit this in the round.
Sleeves as you know it.
Right.
No sleeve island.
You don't knit the sleeve.
Yeah.
You knit this fancy thing, and then you knit this fancy thing, and then you join it together, and the sleeves are already there like magic.
And then you do that again on the back?
Something like that. I think the back is included. It goes...
Oh, okay. So anyway, we won't
Yeah, there's only 2 rounds of color work.
Oh.
Yeah, because this is flattened out, and then you join it under here.
Okay.
So, and all this...
Don't spoil the surprise.
Right.
It wouldn't be a Jennifer Beale pattern if you just had to trust you're going down the right path.
And then all the seams are 3 needle bind off. So fun, because I don't like seaming.
Yeah.
And there's some surface crochet to add strength here, or a combination of surface crochet and 3 needle bind off, which was very cool. You can't even tell. It produces the identical effect on the surface of the fabric.
Which you're going to see again later.
3 needle bind off?
No,
surface crochet.
Yeah. Well, sort of.
So I love the big color work, like coarse, beautiful, striking color work. Of course, it's got the pockets. Does take 2 days to dry on the blocking mats.
It's pretty thick.
The only part that was even remotely like was picking up all around here, because of course it's knit perpendicular, so you have to pick up the entire hem almost, except for the pockets.
Right.
And then you pick up around the pockets and then kind of close them off. And I love it. It's so cozy. It's like a hug. Yeah. Oh, I love it.
And you like it so much.
I'm gonna knit another one. I think I'm gonna. I'm just gonna quickly just whip that up in a medium, because one thing is it's cropped.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you don't like the crop necessarily.
I don't.
It's very fashionable right now.
I don't not like it, but I feel like I love this so much. I want an even bigger, fuller hug from it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, it's definitely, when you finished it, you came over to my place and we looked at it and it was like, it's truly like a fashion statement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you knit this sweater and wear it out, people are going to comment.
Yeah. I think just the motif is so striking.
Right.
And the way she's done all that, like,
yeah.
I can't even. But
so in the last video, you haven't reblocked it.
No, I didn't have to.
Yeah.
I had the whole thing blocked except for the hem and the cuffs.
So in the last episode, you were talking about that it wasn't exactly even. So is it?
It's not. No.
Oh, okay. But it's okay. You don't even notice it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to reblock it because it takes 2 days to dry. Right. I didn't even steam block this. Like, you can't even really tell.
No.
I'm not too worried about that part. You can see how the little steeks work under here.
Right.
Perfect. And that will all felt.
Yeah, so I haven't done any steek. Joe Batt's arm is my first foray into steeks.
Right.
So would you trim those off or do you just let them felt?
Well, I have no idea. I'm leaving them.
Okay.
They're very tidy.
Yes, they are.
And it'll felt.
Okay.
You know, so that keeps it. I wouldn't trim any off. Yeah, just leave it really secure. So I did sew them with a sewing machine. That's how I like to do my steeks.
Right.
But make sure you have a really smooth presser foot without extra knobs and things on it, because I kept picking it. Like, it would collect on the presser foot. Like, catch on little bits of the presser foot that I don't even know what they're for.
You probably have the wrong pressure foot on.
Well, yeah, but I don't know presser foots. Why does it need a little hook on one side? What would you do with that?
Somebody will let us know.
Right.
Jeez, we're not so.
I've got the most convoluted presser foot you've ever seen. There's like a thing off the back and a thing on the side.
You can come use mine if you wanted to.
Yeah, and no, my sewing machine is out and ready for use. You just have to turn it on and sit down.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'd never use it.
Okay.
This is in the middle of my hallway upstairs. That's not super convenient. But yeah, so I'm going to knit another one because I think it'll be stunning in navy. And it's not that I don't like this one, but I feel like I'd also just like a larger version.
Right.
And I never knit the same thing twice, except Frankensweater, which we're going to talk about later. And that involves the gutsiest steeking thing ever, which I just did this morning.
For that. It's going to be...
It's epic.
Yes.
And I am like, you can tell I'm pumped. I like did it this morning, so that worked out well because we wouldn't have even been able to talk about it yesterday. So I came in from chores and I'm like, I'm gonna have that all set up by the time we record this afternoon. Kim was like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, nope, doing it. And I was over there.
Don't talk about it now.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Just pedal to the metal on the sewing machine.
All right.
Could you hear me?
No.
Oh. Because usually I envision her over there going, you really shouldn't run that at full speed.
Oh. I couldn't hear you. Okay.
I had it right there.
I was downstairs brushing in my rabbit cage.
Oh, I had the pedal buried into the floor.
Okay. Rabbits.
So yeah, so I think anyone who tries to knit this is going to love it. It's a new release. There's part of a knit along. The pattern is 25% off until the 5th. Jennifer has all the details about that on her Instagram.
Right.
And I think you should try it. It's an Aran weight yarn. We personally are going to talk about later, but we have 72 colors of Aran weight yarn that you can knit this in. Yeah, so I love it. I've never enjoyed a project more. And it's quick.
Yes.
Not that you want things to be over, but it was like just super satisfying all around.
Yeah. I know you were really happy as you were doing it too.
I was happy.
Except for the moment when you were afraid that it was going to be way too short, but we handled that nonetheless.
Yeah.
You can see it's
perfect. Yeah. And I just have it on with a pair of skinny pants and a longer t-shirt underneath.
Yeah.
And I don't usually wear a crop because I'm very short-waisted. Like even at this, my waist is actually up here.
Right.
Like my natural waist is just right under my ribs.
Yeah.
It's weird. So I tend to like extend that part of my body to look less like a flamingo. Or whatever.
Okay, so we had gotten past this point yesterday. So Jennifer has described herself yesterday as a cormorant.
Yeah.
Which is a lot less graceful than a flamingo.
Because are they the ones with the big wingspan? Because that's what I feel like. Yeah, maybe it's albatross because when Rachel and I go to bar, I need like 2 mat spaces.
Oh, okay.
So like everybody's like doing their arm circles and like people have to like clear the deck and I feel so like big and gangly in there.
Yeah.
Everything else is small.
So let's just recap. So your feet are like the transition of the guy to the werewolf in American Werewolf in London.
Uh-huh.
Not a really flattering picture if you see the movie. Then your arms are like cormorant or albatross, and you maybe should have stopped at flamingo.
I think before I said my legs were like I was riding a chicken too.
Yeah, right.
People are thinking she's never getting married again.
Yeah.
That's true. Put together like, I don't know. I'm put together like a Frankenstein. Anywho.
I don't think people would agree with that.
Okay, well. So that was my step-side project. Happy.
Yes,
so happy. Gonna totally knit it again.
Yeah.
The second time I went through the motif, like the second time I did the color work, it went so fast. I think I finished it in like an evening and a half. And that's most of the sweater.
Good. Yeah.
There's nothing to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was working on other things and doing I don't know what, so it took me a few weeks, but I could have gone hardcore on it and finished it really quickly.
Yeah.
So
it's lovely.
And I hope a lot of people try it because Jennifer did an amazing job on the pattern.
Yeah,
so.
it's fun. And if you would you say that if you were didn't feel like you were ready for other Jennifer Beale sweaters, like with lace and stuff like that this is a good one to start with?
Absolutely. There was nothing difficult about it at all.
Right.
And I was knitting from the draft, so the instructions are obviously much improved through the test knitting process.
And I have to say that for people that are interested in color work, these large motif kind of sweaters are really the way to go.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show the Roscoe from Art and Story later because it's going to fit in with what we're going to talk about Aran yarn.
Right.
But those kind of big patterns are very fashionable, and it's a good way for people to get used to eliminate the scariness of color work for some people.
Yeah, and you can see it from a mile away. And I did all right hand float, like all
Yes.
right-handed. I didn't do two-handed because I don't trust my tension two-handed because it's not something I've done a lot of, and I really wanted it to be very even. But I thought I might have to go back and like pull some strands forward and just really tidy it up, but I didn't have to do anything. Once I blocked it, it just all came out pretty much perfectly.
Right.
So I really didn't have to fiddle with my tension at all.
Yeah. So if anybody's watching this and hasn't watched previous episodes, we do have a tutorial on two-handed color work, which is weaving in the floats as you go. So that's not what Jennifer does.
No.
So it's something different. But if you want to try the two-handed, then we did a tutorial about that, which is not part of the tutorial playlist, right?
No, I'm going to add it. Yeah. So there's 2 playlists on our YouTube channel now. There's podcast episodes and tutorials.
Right.
And I'm going to put that one up. I'll load it probably tonight, and then we'll load the full video for Friday. So.
And either way works fine. You just have to be like, you just have to.
I can do it two-handed because I know a little bit of continental. Like I'm okay with that, but I just didn't want to run into dominance issues and stuff like that. Right. I haven't practiced it enough where I'm like confident that it would be perfect, and I really wanted this to look very tidy.
And that's fine. Like, that's whatever works. Yeah. And it's not like you're twisting, like it's not like you're doing like color work in like intricate but like the number of stitches that you're actually doing color work on is probably less than if you're doing some kind of big.
And it's a really easily memorizable motif line by line, and it just goes really smooth.
Yeah. Are those white diagonal stuff? Is that top crochet as well?
No, that's your decreases.
Oh,
to make the shape. I know.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. Okay, so she really understands the inside out of every motion.
I know. This is like the most amazing part of the whole thing.
Right.
These are like they're not raglan, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it makes that striking, and this all comes together
3D.
Perfectly. Yeah.
Wow.
She's amazing.
Yeah. Jennifer Beale.
Yeah, anyway, so I just can't say enough about it.
Right.
Love it.
So that's the only finished object that we have today.
Yep.
So staying on the Jennifer Beale theme, then we're going to just we're going to go right to works in progress, and I'm going to show my Joe Batts out.
Okay. Very
Which, as you recall, we said maybe it'll be finished.
Yeah.
So it's not.
When did you start it again?
I don't know.
March?
Yeah, somebody mentioned, Rachel mentioned at midnight that for as long as she's known me, that I've been doing this. However, so I want to talk about so I think I still have a part of this that's not done. Yes. All right. So there's Jennifer and I had a discussion. My sister Jennifer and I had a discussion about the sewing of these pieces together. So it's all sewed together now, which I don't think it was it sewed together the last episode?
No, I think you had 2 halves or something.
Yeah, 2 halves. So it's all sewed together. I didn't reblock it. I blocked the pieces separately before I sewed them, just to make sure that I had the best chance of getting them all as perfect as possible. And I was going along sewing, and I used mattress stitch to do my seaming. And I thought I did a pretty neat job. So I went in to Jennifer and I said, I don't really think that I need to do all that picking up the stitches and everything. And Jennifer said, no, you must. And she's absolutely right. The detail that puts on now, in this case, it's done with, you just pick up the stitches on like one leg of the stitches on the color work with the same color that those stitches are knit in, and then you bind it off right away. So you pick up all the stitches and then you bind off all of the stitches, and there's a certain direction you have to go in, which is all very, very clear in the pattern. There's no interpretation needed. Everything is right there. And it creates this beautiful ropey kind of piping effect, which actually makes such a big difference. If you look at the two pieces just sewn together and with this piping, it makes quite a big difference. And it's interesting that there's like 3 different ways you can get that effect. You can bind off, pick up and bind off. You can do the surface crochet, and you can do a 3 needle bind off.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Pretty much looks the same, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. You just have to, Jennifer Beale makes it very clear that you need to do them in a certain direction. So I'm assuming that if you work them in an opposite direction, that it would look slightly different. So you just have to make sure that you're following that part of the instructions, which is really clear. She says go from the hem to the neck, and then she says go to the neck to the hem when you're supposed to. So it's not a big deal. But you'll see in the picture that it makes a big difference. It really finishes it. It adds a lot of strength. And I was prancing around my house. I finished this about, like, the sewing, I guess it was last week now. And I was prancing around the house with it on. I'm happy to say that everything, it fits perfectly. So as you might recall, it was so long ago, I'll just remind you that I used a different size needle across the chest because I did a smaller size than what I needed for my bust, but I didn't want to have the bust too tight. So I did a larger needle size from the underarm to just where the bust would be. I measured, and it worked perfectly. So it's all good.
And that extra top stitching smoothed everything out slightly, and also made this fit better under here, you were saying last night? Yeah. Because this was dragging a bit, and this is it just adds so much structure.
Yes, it adds structure. So the Colourwork itself has never been blocked because I didn't block it before I sewed it. I just steamed it so I could do it because I didn't want to wash the whole arm and then wash again because now it was attached obviously to the sleeve. So there's a little bit of rough, like it looks a little bit rough, like bubbly there, but that'll come out in the blocking. Because when I put it on, you can't see that. So, but I didn't want to put it on because it'll be a big reveal at some point.
Definitely next episode.
Definitely. It's, it's amazing. You don't have to be afraid about all the things that were making me afraid that I was.
Talk about afraid. Wait till I get to Frankensweater.
Yeah. Oh, you can hardly wait.
I can hardly wait to talk about Frankensweater.
All right. So that's it. Joe Batt's arm. You can see the importance of doing that. There's no, you just pick up there's a formula. Oh no, well, we did the pit sewing part before, how you pick it up and you make your rows.
And this, of course, you could knit for her, knit along, and it's knit in our Selkirk worsted.
Yes.
If you were wondering what yarn of ours you can knit it in, Selkirk worsted is what you knit it in, and it was pretty easy to achieve gauge with that.
I got gauge right away.
Right, and of course this was designed with our yarn, so gauge shouldn't be a problem.
Right, and we're going to talk a lot about Aran. I don't think I would knit this in Aran because it's already pretty heavy, like with all the cabling and stuff. It's very warm but not uncomfortable when I had it because look, I was wearing
warm. But I love it.
Yeah. All right, so that's Joe Batt's arm still coming along.
Good.
All right, so I'm excited actually to finish it, but now I wanted to leave one of these sides without the details. So all right, so that's it. So you want to talk about Marled Mania now then? Okay.
So also, this is a much more exciting program since I had extra time since of the show-stopping incident. Oh, lordy.
Is that your stitch stopper?
Yeah, I put a ball on the end. Didn't work out too well.
We actually do have real stitch stoppers.
I know, I should have them on, as a matter of fact. I could really use some, you'll see when I'm doing all of this. So this is what the stitch stoppers are for. So Marled Mania, I finished. I bound off with an I-cord bind off. This is of course inside out, but I'll just leave it like that for now. And it looks a bit squirrely because I-cord is stiff. It's not going to give with the ribbing, right? So once I block it, I'll decide if I want to leave that or not. Rachel warned me about that, about an I-cord bind off, and I'm not convinced I'm going to like how it looks even after blocking, but I've done it twice now.
How close does it fit to your hips?
Oh, I don't know.
Because if there's a little bit of negative ease,
just
I know.
Stretch it'll depend.
It does look nice.
We'll see. Yeah. So I had knit this, bound it off, and then decided it wasn't long enough. And then I took the I-cord bind off with mohair, which was thrilling. Although none of the stitches moved because it's very crunchy. And then I redid it.
Right. I will tell you, and we'll show it when I'm talking about... it's because it's inside out, right? Yeah, there's that. So this looks very similar to the Jenny's stretchy bind off on my Emma.
Interesting.
So you might prefer to do that on the rib.
Yeah. I'll see how it fits. I typically just do a traditional bind off because I like that snugness.
Yeah.
And Jenny's super stretchy would really give with the ribbing. like it would be super stretchy.
But if you like this kind of
the
detail,
look.
the look of it,
I'm not too fussed about that, but we'll just see how it goes. So the thing about this, and I did look on other people's Ravelry projects because I tried it on. Do you think I should just pause and put this on?
Sure.
Yeah, we're gonna do that because there's a real thing to discuss here. All right, so this is better. Oh God, it's easier to talk about.
Yeah.
So you won't get to see me standing up in it until it's finished. I got some stitch stoppers. How brilliant!
Cocoknits.
Okay, I love these.
Yeah.
These are brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really.
So clearly
And
I'm
colorful.
Yeah, which I love. It matches my sweater. Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm obviously headed down this first sleeve, which I think I'll finish tonight.
Probably.
Yeah. I'm got renewed enthusiasm for everything after finishing that STEPASIDE.
Yeah.
So the one thing that we wanted to talk about this pattern is, for one thing, I tend to not go with a lot of negative ease. So I did knit a size small, and I'm a little bit too far in the other direction because I really don't like sweaters that look sloppy. So I feel like I've been knitting everything just a little bit too small. You know, kind of like how I want to reknit my STEPASIDE. It's not really the same thing because to me that's almost going to be a different design in the larger size that I'm going for. But in this case, I'm not loving where this line falls.
Yeah.
So I looked on Ravelry, and there are a few very smart knitters who I think kind of sussed that out and started their striping down here.
Right.
But what you would have to do is just count the number of rows you went further than when you separate for the sleeve,
right,
and then do the same number of rows after you start working the sleeve so that the gray, because these are meant to line up perfectly.
Right.
So I could have gone another 12 rows here.
Right.
That would have fixed me having to make this really long down here because the design only has a little tiny bit of ribbing and the striping goes all the way to the bottom of the sweater. So it just would have shifted the whole thing down. I couldn't have really made a larger size because
it fits perfectly.
And then the sleeves would have been weird and whatever. But my point being, this line going across here makes you look like you have no bust whatsoever. And of course, it's designed by Stephen West, and he has a man's body, and it gives you this beautiful, broad-looking chest.
Right. Because people that are reading their Cocoknit workshop would understand that and people that understand design, the horizontal line focuses your vision where you want
but in this
lines,
case, it just collapsed everything.
Yeah.
So
it hides instead.
Yeah. So I just kind of had to look at it with it on. It's still cute as anything.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna love it, but I would not have put this right across my nipples.
Right.
Had I seen that, like clued into that, I would have possibly, or you know, if I was gonna knit it again, which I'm definitely not, or if one of you wants to knit it and you think it would probably kind of ease underneath and look a little bit better.
Or I wonder, would it minimize?
If that's something because you just look across.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
you yesterday,
I can barely stand however much mohair is in my eye.
Version 1 of our podcast that will never see the light of day. We talked about you're looking at the schematics differently. So that's an important point to make.
Yes. So I think, like, schematic wise, I look at the bust size and I figure out how much ease I want, and I know my bust size. The circumference. But you know, a savvy knitter, which I will be from now on, would have looked at the yoke depth a little more closely. Right. And I actually can't tell you if that's on his schematic or not, but typically it is on a yoke sweater, I think.
I don't know.
In any case, I would have figured out that I wanted more yoke depth here before I put this big flashy detail across my already barely existing bust line. But you know, it's got the little armholes and stuff, so I'm kind of calling it a yoga sweater, so I guess I'll just look really athletic. Yeah. With it on?
Sure. It's cute. It's really cute.
Yeah, it is really cute. I still love it, of course.
And you can't see because she's not standing up, but just what she was saying earlier about the I-cord, it does.
My hips are filling it out, smoothing it out.
It's smooth.
Okay, and this will go down a little because there's a bit of a bubbling up here from where it goes from from front waist to stockinette to reverse stockinette. So it will smooth out a bit. And it'll probably come down a bit, so it won't be quite as bad. But when I first tried it on, we were like, oh.
Wow, that's unfortunate.
You look like a board. But you know, it's all about the color and stuff, whatever.
I have the neck line of this is really, really cute.
Yeah, and some people did it in a solid just because this is so fun. And,
it's really, I I don't know, it's very flattering.
I know,
and
because and it's so much ease in both directions. Like it just fits. It just it conforms to your body really nicely because it's all ribbed.
Yes, I really like it.
Yeah.
And there's short rows in the back, so the back of the neck is higher. So it's like a mock turtleneck, but it's not flat. Like it's, you have that tilting to it, so it's lower in the front. Yeah.
And this is another really, really, really easy knit. This is probably the easiest sweater I've ever knit.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, because all the shaping is kind of formed by the ribbing, and it's just, it's...
Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah,
it's
really super fun. So do you think I should leave this on or put my STEPASIDE back on now?
As you wish. Is it cooler?
It's a little bit cooler because there's no arms on it. Who knows? I might change again later.
This is, if anybody's watching and doesn't know, this is made from our sock yarn, actually.
Yeah, held together. So 2 strands.
Yeah.
So this belongs with this, and I'm just about to add the yellow here.
Yeah.
And continue on. I just love these little things. These are fun. They're squishy and yummy.
Yeah.
They look like little candies.
Yeah, we can talk about them when we talk about our shop update.
Right, okay, so we'll leave those. All right.
Okay, so do you want to do your Frankensweater as part of whips, or do you want to do a whole separate section for that?
No, it's a whole separate section, but we'll do it now.
Okay.
Part of whips. It's
All
a
right.
whip.
Yep.
It's not a whip and rip, it's a whip and clip.
Yeah.
I'm so humorous. Okay, so first of all, allow me to explain. So this pattern, Wild and Reckless Heart by Alberg, was designed in a superwash yarn, which was a worsted weight superwash. However, I'm using our worsted weight, and there was no way in heckins I was getting gauge.
Right.
Even though the weight and the yardage of the yarns that we used were identical, the superwash will gauge up so much finer because it has zero life to it. Like no cushiness,
we have a lot of elasticity and loft, and the way our yarn is spun as well is semi worsted, which means that it still has a little bit of that woolen type of.
So there was no hope. So I did this very large swatch, which I kept, and then I actually took copious notes about how I adapted this pattern when I originally started it as the husband sweater. So
because we should mention that it's actually a lady's sweater pattern.
It's also a women's design. Yeah. So I was adapting it for a man and a larger man, and I was using a yarn that I wasn't going to be able to hit gauge with.
You see what you're doing? You have no boundaries. You're doing a man's sweater for yourself, and you were doing a woman's sweater for a man.
No, this is definitely unisex.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sure he intended it as for everybody.
Yeah.
It's fun for everyone. So I had all this like raw data to work with. So when you're doing that, of course, I know I'm not going to get the gauge per the pattern. So what I have to do is determine the fabric I want and then measure how many stitches give me the diameter I want.
Right.
Bust-wise, let's say, because that's pretty much the main measurement I went for on this one too. So chest or bust. Now it's bust. It was chest, now it's bust.
It's now a unisex pattern
It's
as well.
still my chest. So I did all that. So I had all that recorded. So it was easy for me to then scale that down to a 38 to 39 inch chest measurement, which is what I feel is boyfriend sweatery enough for me.
Right. And the original sweater that you were knitting was what?
51.
51. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was trying to target a 51 inch chest. Okay. And now I'm trying to target like a 38 to a 39.
Right.
So I did all that math, which is pretty easy. It's really just figuring out how many stitches make 39 inches. And then I came up with 212. But the closest size in the pattern was 216.
Oh, but that's pretty close.
That's pretty close. So I added 4 more. So it's going to be like getting up to 39 to 40 inch bust. But I don't think that's huge for a man's chest measurement.
No.
I think that's like I don't have no idea what the average man's chest measurement would be, but 40 doesn't sound unreasonable for my boyfriend.
No, my chest measurement is 41.
Yeah. So I think that works. Yeah. I mean, it might be a little bit bigger. I could have gone down in the other direction if I wanted to. Got 212, I could have gone down to the 204, but that was taking 8 stitches off, and that seemed like a lot. So literally the closest was the 216, which is the third size.
And the whole idea of what you wanted to do was to make it look like a boyfriend
super
sweater.
Cozy.
Anyway.
I know. Yeah, and it could possibly fit my boyfriend if I ever get one. At this rate, who knows? All right. So, but you'll be shocked to know how little fabric I was left with.
Right.
And I was totally shocked. I thought I was going to have like a foot.
Right.
But I did, so I needed 34 stitches per midsection.
Yeah.
And this is a bit tricky because, of course, I have a different gauge in my cabling. So the cabling, I know that entire cable panel is 11 inches knit.
Right.
So I had to subtract that 11 inches from front and back and then determine what the size needed to be to get the 38 or 39.
Right.
So by the time I took 17 inches from each side, allowed 3 inches seam allowance and steeking room, this was all I had to cut out.
Yeah. Which is actually a very good lesson. So, because it's not that many stitches, it's not that, so if you can see where if your gauge is not exactly right.
This is the difference between a 51-inch man's chest sweater and a 39-inch sweater that I'm going to fit. Yeah.
Right.
But it looks like nothing.
Yeah. And just to re-emphasize what you already said, you also have like a seam allowance now that you wouldn't have because it was knit in the round.
So so there's 3 stitches on each end of this curved in there, which I'll show you. So that's all I got. So we had a lovely plan for this to try to form a child sweater with Jennifer Beale, but it's going to be awfully disappointing.
She's not going to want a knitting to do.
I'm happy because I didn't waste a lot of knitting, although what's going to go in the seam allowance is wasted as well. But this makes me feel much better.
Yes.
I mean, it's hardly anything, so it's not like I'm throwing out and I am just going to throw that in the garbage now, I think. I could make a headband, I don't know. So this is what we have. So once I determined all that and I had my 3 stitches on either side, I've got this pinned together. I'll just unpin it just to kind of hold it structure so when I'm knitting with it, it's not flopping around because I'm going to leave it open at the bottom until the very end. Oh yeah, how did I manage that? And then I'm just going to seam it the very last thing.
Right.
If it was, because I'm almost done anyway, if it was bothering me, like flopping around like this, I would seam it now so that I could keep knitting, but I literally have maybe 4 more rows to do before I start the sleeves. Okay. And this will be set aside.
So you just joined though. You're knitting, or are you leaving it open?
I'm gonna explain.
Oh. I'm moving ahead.
I'm getting there. Let me get my stuff out. Okay. So here you can probably see where I've sewed it with the sewing machine. Well, and then I cut it. And so I ended up with 2 completely separate pieces, which I then put back on the needles. So I was feeling so cocky this morning. I just ripped the needles right out of the thing. I had 256 stitches on here. I left them all loose.
Which you don't do that with a slippery yarn.
But with our yarn, I did not lose one.
Right.
I did not have to pick up 1 stitch with a crochet hook.
Right.
Even after steeking 4 seams, cutting it all out, having it drugged around, like it was half off the needles if you remember last episode to begin with.
Right.
Not 1 stitch slipped through.
Great.
So that's the beauty of working with 100% wool when you're doing something crazy like this.
Yeah.
So this is my beginning of round, and so I've gone 3 rows now just to kind of join this section, and then when I'm done everything else, I will go back and seam this, which Kim's going to teach me to do because I literally don't know even know how to do seaming really. I avoid it like the plague.
Okay.
And so we'll just sew this up. There'll be a little tiny bit here that's joined in the round, and the rest of it will be seamed, but you'd never notice the difference.
If we do a good job on seaming.
Yeah, right. And then you can see,
no pressure.
So these will be joined in here.
Right.
And that's my seam allowance,
the
3 stitches. So when I went around the first time, I had to bind off my steek stitches, as you always do. Keep going. Bind off my steek stitches again. Keep going. And so now you can see the little steeks. I had 3. They're bound off in here to keep those solid.
Yeah.
I didn't bother to cut this.
Right.
I will have to before we steam it, but I'm just leaving it.
Okay.
I'm leaving them attached because normally when you steek, you would cut in between the bound off stitches too.
Yeah.
But I've left that just to keep it secure. So, and then I reinserted my markers. I happened to have my row counter still on this project, so I knew exactly where to pick up. I had happened to end on a rest row.
Yeah.
So it was easy to pick up because if I was picking up after a fresh twist, that might have been a whole other ball of wax. So fortunately I had a rest row that I was able to put back on the needles. And also I had stopped at the beginning of round.
Wow.
So my little thread was right here. I just literally kept going.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I'm 3 rows into it. I know I'm at the right place with this. The only thing that went wrong is I was sailing along and there was a little moth-eaten section. So little fluffs came out and my stitches were not dropped, but they literally dissolved as I went by them.
So you're washing this now?
So, and it's so full of dog hair. You would not believe.
Because this has been laying around.
Yeah,
for
I
months.
really didn't look after it properly. So this is where the moth had got in it.
Okay.
And again, that was in the house, not in our mill, so don't worry.
Yeah.
The house was built in 1850. Yes, we have moths. It's full of holes. There was so much wind coming through the floorboards of my bathroom last night. I literally could not get the place heated. So it's pretty open. So yeah, this is where you can see it's just a soft break.
Yeah.
And that was that little bugger.
Yeah.
So I think I've got that all secured now. But other than that, that was literally the only snag I ran into in this massive, gutsy.
But you want to make
project.
sure that you're going to wash it, so just in case there's anything.
So
there is a lot of dog hair on it.
Oh my gosh, the dog's been laying on it for 6 months.
So
at least.
now, because my pits are getting damp thinking about doing the seaming on this.
Oh. This?
Yeah, I just want to
it's
know.
all on you.
Yeah, all right. So so if my Joe Batt's arm is not finished.
If your Joe Batt's arm is not finished,
I'm fired.
you're fired.
Okay.
I can just sew it with the sewing machine.
No, we're going to do it
Okay.
properly. So what I want to know though is this is under the arm.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So if there's a little bit of it won't look exactly the same.
Well, it's so dark. Who
Yeah,
cares?
it's so
Just
dark
get
and
it
it's
together.
under the arm and
I could care less as long as it's smooth.
yeah, it'll be smooth.
Yeah, so the minute I finish, I have about 4 more rows to go to get the length. So when it comes to a length spec as written in the pattern, I'm doing one size. When it comes to a number of stitches, I'm doing the size below because my gauge is bigger, right? So I'm trying to get 16 inches of body done here, which is the size 39. And so I just have a few more rows to go. And then I'm going to put the actual stoppers that go with these needles on, wash this sucker and get it, because it's absolutely disgusting to work with. Like there's so much dog hair on it.
Her dog, Charlie,
Yeah.
was enjoying it.
Yeah, took right to this. She loves my knitting nook, which is like my little room where I used to go knit, although now I knit wherever I feel like it. Just saying.
Your whole house is your knitting.
That's right. So that's that.
Okay.
So I didn't have this done yesterday, so I'm actually really happy that our popularity video
And
got destroyed.
I was when you brought the swatch over, I was like fondling it because this is actually a special yarn that we made, which is 100% lamb's wool.
Yeah.
And it's natural.
Yeah.
So black lambs are actually brown.
Yeah.
They're not really black. They're like a dark chocolate brown. And it feels really nice.
Yeah,
Our
it's gonna be
our
stunning.
black sheep are not known to have the nicest,
Right.
like the nice softest
Kempy.
wool. We've just got, they have a little bit of kemp in them, which is like a little bit more of a wiry hair that we try to take out in the dehairing. But we do have a couple newish ones that were from James Bond, so they have a border lustery feel, and I think this must be from one of them because it feels really nice.
I don't know, it's just nice.
Yeah. It's
So
very
when I
nice.
block this, because it's kind of it's not felted together per se, but it's literally been on a couch with my dog laying on it. Do you think the definition will come back out in these cables when I block it? They look a little blended together.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, it'll just depend if it's actually felted or not.
Well, I don't think, it's smushed a bit.
This certainly looks more clear. Like if you look at the stitch definition on
Right,
this,
because I
than
just
this.
washed this morning.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think you'll see.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
There's no pilling though.
No, never any pilling.
That's
Moving
good.
along.
Now you have dog hair all over
I
your
have
pants.
so much dog hair.
Okay, so this episode is turning out to have more costume changes than a Celine Dion Las Vegas show.
It's the same costume. I just put it back on.
Back to the step aside because
Right.
the neck was too warm.
Yeah. There's no pleasing me today.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So now we'll talk about Emma.
Right. And the Cocoknits workshop.
Coconuts?
Coconuts. Did I say coconuts?
Yes.
Cocoknits.
The Coconuts workshop. All right, so we're segueing right in with whips and the Cocoknits workshop that we're doing. So for those that don't know, we have a thread on our Ravelry group, which is knit along with Cocoknits, and we have a great prize that was donated by Cocoknits, which is the Knitter's Blocking Kit, which is a fantastic prize for whoever is going to win. And I am knitting Emma version 1 from the Cocoknits workshop book. So I have it right here. So a couple things. I have a couple different types of pictures on the Ravelry thread of this at different stages. And if you look closely at the picture right after I joined, you'll notice that the stitches in the V itself. So obviously this mannequin is not the same size I am. So this is not where my V comes to me. It comes, it's very discreet.
Demure? Oh, okay.
Demure, yeah. So this is not where it comes. But what I didn't realize, I just made the assumption that I would be picking up around the V-neck. But in fact, with this sweater, you don't. It's a very like minimalistic kind of look, which makes it very modern. But when I joined the V-neck, the two pieces after you do the yoke part, and I joined the V-neck, there was kind of a big, I didn't pay enough attention to the way that the stitches were how tight they were, the tension on them, because I just assumed I was going to pick up and knit something else anyway. So since that, when I realized that this is actually just the neck, I went in with a little bit of I actually used one of the ends, and I just tightened up that little V, so it's perfectly neat now. There's still threads here because of where. So I finished the body, and the bind off is Jenny's stretchy bind off.
Super stretchy.
Super stretchy.
The JSSBO.
Yeah, okay.
2 S's.
Just like St. John's.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's curling up a little bit, but nothing's been blocked.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. So I'm just working down on the sleeves now, and I'm gonna make my sleeves so that they're a little bit long. I did the same thing with my Joe Batt's arm. I like that length because I just find it's comfy.
Like what I'm going to do with my boyfriend's sweater.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I like it. So this is coming along, also knit in our Aran in Vineyard. And I will make a comment about the helical knitting and alternating skeins. So we're going to talk about our Aran yarn and the fact that they're hand dyed in the skein. But I'm just going to show on the back, because it's really obvious on the back, that at first I often knit.
You can turn it more this way. Yeah.
This way?
Yeah.
I often knit. I alternate the skeins, but I often try to cheat a little bit before, because I found
there's no cheating in alternating.
Yeah, I found that alternating and twisting the yarns and everything was always a little bit cumbersome. So I didn't alternate right at the beginning there. So these skeins were made from the same dye lot, because Jennifer dyed them for me for the sweater. So they were from the same dye lot. I always put my skeins all out on a table, and I use them like a gradient almost, if there's any differences that I can see in them. So the two skeins that are being knit at the same time are as close as possible to being matched. But even then, you can see the thing. This is kind of a casual sweater, so I'm not too worried. But we'll decide when it's done if I'll actually have Jennifer re-dye it or not. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. But you can see the difference from when I wasn't alternating it down to when I was religiously alternating. It made a big difference.
So here you were alternating every row.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And with the helical knitting trick in the round, it's so easy. Why not do it?
Right.
And so if anybody hasn't looked already at the tutorial on helical knitting that we did, you should look at it if you're knitting in the round with hand dyed yarns, because it really changed. It's going to make my projects look a lot better. And the one thing I'll say is that in the video, the tutorial, we slipped 3 stitches at the place where the jog would normally be, or where the twist would be, and we figured out that was basically probably a way to make sure that the yarns are not twisted, because that's the key to having a smooth transition, is that the skeins are not, the strands are not twisted when you do the changeover between the two skeins. I don't think you need 3 if you're just conscious of what you're doing. So I'm only slipping the last stitch before I pick up the other.
You're really bold. Not even 2.
No, not even 2. So I'm just knitting up to where I see the stitch that is going to have the next yarn I'm going to pick up, and I'm slipping that stitch, and then I'm continuing on with that next yarn, paying attention that I'm not twisting the strands. And you do get caught a couple times by inserting your needle into the one where you want to change to, but the stitch gets really sloppy. So if you're paying attention to what you're doing, you know right away you made a mistake. So I back it out and do it. But it's just like this. It's like you're not even alternating.
Very good, and it looks perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's Emma. This goes really, really quickly. So when I'm not working on my Joe Batt's arm, I'm doing this, and this is like this part of the sleeve was one night's knitting, something like that. Well, I'm binge watching Game of Thrones right now, so I'm watching that.
I haven't started that yet.
Yeah. So that's that. So I'm really happy about that. We're having the Cocoknits knit along is going. It doesn't finish until March 31st. You have plenty of time to start now if you want to knit a sweater out of that. There's more and more people are joining after they got all their Christmas knitting done. And I might do another one because there actually was another sweater in there. I forget what the name of it is. I think it's Molly that I wanted to knit, and I might just go ahead and do it because
and we have the books back in stock, and we have the worksheets on the way.
Yes, yeah, they left San Francisco on December 21st, so they've got to be
we'll
somewhere
have all the gear
here
for you to order in the next couple days.
Right. So that's it. So join the Cocoknits.
Knit along,
Knit along. It's fun, and and there are lots of other patterns too that they have that follow the workshop method. So somebody's actually knitting one that was one of the first ones that she did. I think it's an older pattern, and it's a unisex. There's it's called Antonia and Antonio.
Oh, okay.
So there's lots of different patterns that have it, and they say on them if they follow that method. So you can do what you want.
Cool.
So that's it. Now that we've talked about the Cocoknits workshop and the workbooks and the journals, we'll just go right into the shop update, which also contains Cocoknits items. Of course it does.
Here you go. You've spent more time with this than I have.
Okay, so this is, we said before that we like smart people that make smart things, and this is really quite something. So this is the Cocoknits accessory roll.
Right.
It's made out of paper.
Right.
A craft paper.
Which we showed it 2 episodes ago.
Just a picture.
Right. But now we've really gotten to know it better, and it's now our new favorite thing.
We're even more impressed.
Right.
So first of all, something that you didn't even know until I told you is that this paper is actually washable. And they suggest you throw it in the washing machine on the gentle cycle with cool water temperature. And you wash it, and then you bring it out, and then you can reshape the pieces and let them dry. And if you crumple them a little bit, it actually gives a look of a worn leather,
which is
pouch.
Coconuts.
For Cocoknits.
That's bananas. Yes. So cool.
Yes. So
I'm going to want a pina colada after this.
So you take out the elastic. It does come with different spares or different colors, because I'm pretty sure that Jennifer would never have one with just beige on it.
Oh my gosh. It's my one chance to wear orange.
Yeah, exactly. And so what you have is these little 4 little pouches inside. They all snap
on and off,
and they fold inside like a little envelope, which I always get the 2. Oh, okay. Sorry, I practiced this. Here we go. It's right here. You just fold and you open them up, and your stuff is secure.
And I've got something in it.
I noticed that I have one that's not even. Yeah. Okay. So I just left this open in one of the other ones, but it actually folds inside, and. It's secure. Yeah. It's not going anywhere. And the tendency is, you might have noticed, when I first opened the very first one, I was kind of gingerly but it's
robust.
It's robust. It's fine. The little grommets, like where the snaps go in, or whatever you would call those, I don't know, little snap ends or whatever, are perfectly secure. It's not flimsy at all. So then you just tuck this in, and then you can snap it back right in place. So all of these just pull out and then snap in. I do think it's easier. Oh no, it snapped right in. I think it's easier to snap it with the thing open than it is with it closed, because you have to get it lined up. You can feel them, but they just snap together. It folds up, and you're all set.
Elastic around.
Put your elastic around.
Cool.
And they're perfect. And they also have a project portfolio that's made of the same material that we're road testing right now. And you can wash that in the washing machine too. And it has a little spot for your tablet or your iPad and your worksheet papers.
So cool.
It's very cool.
I imagine the amount of stuff you can hold.
Yeah.
I've got stuff everywhere. It drives me crazy.
Right.
Like my bedside table is just full of bits of things.
Little
and
bits and bobs.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to, Cocoknits has actually made a video sort of showing this off a bit too, of their own, but we also just wanted to show it here because it's just, I don't know, it's just really cool. And I'm excited to wash our sample and see how it looks after.
Yes.
So we can do that when we go in.
More real life.
So that's just a better, because you know it is. It's not an inexpensive item.
No.
So, but worth it if that's a thing that will keep your life organized.
Right. And you know that we like to work with tools that we love.
Right.
So for us,
love that.
Yes, for us, it's there's a difference between price and value.
Yeah, that's a freaking genius.
Yeah, it's
item.
really nice, and it just feels nice in your hand, and the way that it's well thought out, and it's beautiful. So we have those in stock.
Okay.
All right. And we also have the stitch stoppers, which Jennifer, demonstrated.
a minute ago.
They come in jumbo and regular sizes.
Yeah.
Excuse me, so those are up on the website, so you can order those now as well.
We've
so
got
that's it.
So many Cocoknits products now in our accessories section.
Yeah, we have almost everything.
Pretty well.
Almost, yeah. So there's a couple things that we don't have yet, but probably we'll end up with everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
All right, and then we wanted to talk a little bit about our Aran yarn, because it's been a while since we talked about our yarns. We've been doing a lot of projects with lace, and we did projects with sock, but with the launch of the Aran sweater, the pattern of STEPASIDE in Aran, we wanted to talk a little bit about it. So for those of you who have not seen all of our episodes, we do a section about how we make the yarns. But Aran is our three-ply yarn. It's actually the first yarn that we started with. So it's called Signature Aran. And at one time, it was the only yarn that we made.
This whole woolen mill / brand was supposed to be based on 12 colors of Aran yarn.
And how many colors do we have now?
72, I said earlier. Yeah, 72. I counted them yesterday. I've been saying I don't know about 70, and I didn't really think, I thought I must have been exaggerating, but we literally have 72 of these listed on our website.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be 12.
Right.
It's a few extra.
Right. But we have something for everybody.
Right, definitely.
Yeah, and it's amazing that there's still colors that we look at and we say, oh, we should have that.
Yeah, not too often.
Not too often, but there is one.
A mustard yellow.
That's not the one I was thinking of.
She's on that cherry red again. I did it. It's right there.
I can see it. She did it in a different yarn. Anyway, so we do solids and we do variegated colors. So we'll just talk about the solids. We talked a little bit about it with my Emma, because that's also an Aran project. I was going to show Ken's sweater, Roscoe.
Right.
So we're just going to take a break, and I'm going to bring that over.
Okay.
Okay, so we just did another quick change. It really is like a Las Vegas show. Yeah. So the mannequin, I put up Ken's Roscoe, which is a Martin Story pattern that he did. Again, using like a huge motif of Colourwork. This is actually autumn birch and slate that I made this out of. It was very quick to knit. So you have an impressive looking garment, which is really quick to knit. He wears this all the time. And he loves it. Everybody asks him.
It's a showstopper.
It's a showstopper. Do you need to check the camera? No, we're good. All right. So, and this is, it does have a little bit more of a casual look to it, because as we often say, we're using seconds. So this was actually made out of yarn that was one of the first batches that we took off the mill.
It was a bit rough.
It was a little bit rough. So again, the big motif It's really nice, and it knits up really quickly.
That did go quickly.
Yeah.
Not 8 months.
I was only working on that too, and it's very straightforward. I mean, it's stockinette everywhere, and it is pieced. It's not it's not a top down. It's a bottom up in pieces, but the seaming was really easy to do because it's just stockinette. So that's it. So this is the way that our Aran knits up. It's very warm because it has a really like a cushy feeling to it, and it's very comfortable. And for something different, I'm wearing my Carbeth Swan Dance, which is a Kate Davies pattern.
And the regular Carbeth works with our Aran weight yarn too.
Absolutely.
A lot of people have knit that out of our Aran weight yarn.
Yes, exactly. So the gauge works perfectly. And this is a little bit different because I've stranded it with mohair silk. So for me, I like a little bit of bloom. And I love this kind of little fluffy feeling. And it's just, this sweater, when I knit this, I wanted something that was going to be really cozy that I could just throw on and be very comfortable in. And it's perfect. It worked just exactly the way that
so
I
when you knit the Carbeth designs with Kate's yarn, you're holding them double. But when you knit it with our Aran, it works. You can gauge easily by holding one single strand of our Aran works equally as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and the Purple Pearl has knit several samples. The Purple Pearl is a yarn shop in Toronto that carries our yarn. They've knit several Carbeths.
Yeah, there's a cardigan and there's a pullover. And
they're cropped, and then this is a longer version.
Yes,
with
it's
lace
tunic,
added.
actually, she calls it. And then you have this design.
So there's 3 variations of the Carbeth, all of which would work too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I added the silk mohair, so I was carrying 2 strands, but when you're doing Kate Davies, if you're using the yarn that she suggests, you actually hold 2 strands to get the Aran weight.
Yeah.
So
neat.
Yeah, so it's very versatile.
Yeah.
And
they're quick. This went quite quickly too.
Yes.
When you knit it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it. I mean, it's easy to work with, very comfortable to wear, and so
I'll just talk about how our colors work and a little bit about the dyeing process. So the dye that I use is Greener Shades, and it's a GOTS certified, which is like an organic textile certified dye. It's manufactured in Connecticut, or it comes from Connecticut when I get it, and it comes from another mini mill owner, Still River in Connecticut, and it comes in 9 colors, but I have to design all the other colors myself. So it doesn't come in this green. I have to take true green and figure out what to blend it with to make this, which is probably a little bit of yellow, and it's very light and that kind of thing. Every time I create a variegated one, of course, I pick from my already existing solid palette. So for example, Thistle has both of these in it. This Twilight also has this purple in it. So if you're ever wondering what might match or contrast or work together, you're welcome to reach out to us and find out. I typically dye solids 12 to 16 at a time in my big giant lobster pot, I call it.
Right.
That's my dye vat. And then variegated, I can only do 10 at a time. So it is like a very hands-on artisan process to get these all dyed. And sometimes we dye to order.
Right.
And sometimes it's already on the shelf, but either way, we always try to ship out within 10 business days.
Right. And we dye in the skein. So we spin all of the yarn in the natural color, and then Jen dyes it after it's already in the skein.
Yeah.
And there's an important reason why we do that.
Yeah, because you can see even in this skein that there's some shadow and light here. You can see the shadow and light in the skeins and the projects we've shown. If we were to dye it beforehand, which would be much faster and much easier, and then put it in the carder, it would be like putting the color in a KitchenAid mixer. It would come out perfectly evenly. And none of this variation would exist. And we did start out doing it that way, but we didn't like how it looked.
Yeah. We said we wanted it to look as close to as a commercial yarn as you can have with our artisanal yarn, but it's
very flat.
Yeah.
And so, and a knitter's feedback said, no, we like it. It's much more dynamic with the light and shadow in it. And the twist, once the twist has been applied to the yarn, that can resist, kind of almost like a tie-dyeing kind of thing, and that adds even more dimension to it. So it's like high dimensional color.
Yeah.
And again, that would all disappear if we carded it after dyeing and then spun it.
Yeah.
So, and what that's called dyeing in the wool. You're dyeing the raw fleece.
Right.
And this is called dyeing in the skein because the color is applied after the yarn is fully spun and actually in its skein length.
Yes, and a lot of people comment that our skeins seem to have luster or light coming from them, and it's because we do it that way.
That's why. It creates light and shadow.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and then I use a slightly different method for these two, Bramble and Fiddlehead, which are two of our most popular, and I've really upped the shadow on these is basically what's happening. So I just wanted to show them because you can see it has a very different effect.
Yeah, so if you look at something that's a little,
So I've added a layer of shadow to these using a different method, and I really love how that looks, but it's a much moodier look, and people do tend to love them. So that's kind of, these are just really, really different. There's only two colors that I do that way. The colorways take a long time to develop because it's kind of, it's really hit or miss to get the effect that you want. And so I've only ever done these two, but they are quite unique compared to the remainder of our solids and variegateds that we do.
Yeah,
so
they're really
just
popular.
wanted to point those out. Yeah. So that's our Aran weight. So again, 72 colors, lots of patterns. We'd love to see more people start knitting with it.
And I was just thinking to myself, I should maybe do the adaptation thing. I would love a sweater like this with using a variegated in the motif and then just a solid. I love that look.
Yeah, so now in that case, you wouldn't want to use one that contains the solid color in it because your edges would blend.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a whole other...
Yeah. Or you can use, we have a couple that have a lot more white space in them too. You could do that. They're a little bit more like a speckly look. So anyway, go on the website. You can see there's 72 of them.
Yeah, lots of colors.
Something for almost everybody.
Yeah.
And Jennifer loves it when people write and say,
what color should I use?
What? Yeah,
I get right into that.
Yeah, we're actually hopefully we're going to be able to. We have somebody from Knit Night knitting a sweater that is. And
we did, we figured out the colors together.
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing. Well, it's this sweater.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you wanted to say or not, but
why not?
Oh, okay.
What would be? Why not?
It's a step aside, which is
well, it's actually knit in this.
Yeah,
with a royal blue.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah, if we get a good picture of it, we'll share it later. Yeah.
Okay, so then we will talk about the Fibre Festival update.
Right.
So the Fibre Festival crew has been hard at work, and they have a website now that is up with more than just the date on it.
Yeah.
So the PEI Fibre Festival will take place in September 2020 from the 25th to the 27th of September. It will be held at the PEI Convention Center, which is part of the Delta Hotel complex downtown in Charlottetown. Right, literally on the water.
Yeah.
So a fabulous venue. There's lots of things going on in PEI at that same time. So there's the Fall Flavors, which is a culinary festival that takes place for the full month of September. And they've just announced that they're going to extend it into the first week of October, I think. Anyway, it goes into October.
And that's where they bring in celebrity chefs to cook really special experiences, meals, like lobster on the beach and stuff like that. It's a pretty cool festival.
Yeah, it's a pretty, you need to check it out. The website also has a place for you to subscribe so that they'll do a newsletter so you can get all the latest information as it becomes available. They're just working on applications for vendors and applications for instructors for workshops. And there is a booking link to the hotel. So if you want a room, there is a block of rooms that they've reserved at the Delta with a rate. So if you want a room and you're already ready to come, there's a link on there to make your reservation. And I think they're offering the rate for the week.
Okay.
So it's just not for those 2 or 3 nights that you would have. That they offer the link for the week. There is a lot happening on PEI that month.
September is the new August,
That's what they say. They told us that. So you might want to get yourself sorted out relatively quickly.
Like if you're a festival person who wants to be at the venue, I would book now because it's not a small hotel, but it is a very busy time of year. And the beer fest is going on at that venue the same weekend as well. And that's a very popular one.
Yeah, so all the craft breweries and beers and things like that. There are tons of rooms on the island because tourism is one of the biggest.
Right. Did they tell us 80,000?
No, 18,000.
18,000. 80,000 would be good.
Yeah.
18,000. Okay. That's actually not a ton, but
there's lots of space, but they're not all in traditional big hotels.
Right.
So there's Airbnbs and there's cottages and there's all kinds of things. But may need to, if you're not ready to book right away at a traditional hotel, you may need to look at other things.
Right.
However, the Department of Tourism has said that they will provide some information about how to make those other bookings as well.
Right.
So
not tenting in our backfield.
Yeah, exactly.
Which we had lots of people asked to do over the years.
Mostly when the Cavendish Music Festival was on. But
we're
not close to the Cavendish Music Festival.
No.
So that's the festival update. So things are moving along with that. And we have an Ask Us Anything question, which relates to the Fibre Festival, sort of tangentially. So Mimi Loves to Knit Too, who we had a question from the last episode as well. She wants to know how to get to our place and any travel advice we would give. So we're not in Charlottetown. We're a little more than 30 minutes away. People like to say just 30 minutes outside of Charlottetown, but in fact, it takes you a little bit longer than that to drive.
31.
Yeah.
According to my GPS.
With your driving. It's straight.
It could take much longer.
Yeah. It's straight on the highway.
You could also get caught behind a field sprayer and then add 5 minutes
harvesting equipment at that time. So I would say you could do it in 35 minutes because by the time you get downtown and through that.
But the one thing is the first street you hit when you leave here is Water Street once you cross the Stratford Bridge, and the Delta is right on the water. So the Delta is as close to us as it can be being in Charlottetown.
That's right.
Right.
And it's a straight shot right out the highway, the Trans-Canada Highway, highway number 1. It's a straight shot out here. Not that easy to get to if you're not driving. So
no Uber.
Yeah, no Uber. A taxi. I took a taxi from the airport, which is a little bit further away.
It's actually quite a bit further. But
because it's over like in a different section at the outskirts of the city on the other side. And it was $65 for me to get home that night. That was a couple years ago. So it's a little bit expensive, but if you have a group that wants to come and you've got 4 people that want to come in the car, the taxi together, that might be an option. But honestly, if you've got time, you would be just as efficient to rent a car for a day. And there's things to do in our area that you can spend the day out here. So what is there to the other part of that question was, what is there to do in the eastern part of the island? So we're in the eastern part of the Prince Edward Island. We are not in the main tourist area for kids like that. There's Cavendish and, they're not exactly amusement parks, but there's
there are amusement parks.
And
roller coasters and
roller coasters.
Yeah.
Where?
Yes.
Oh.
Gosh, you don't even know.
Yeah, I don't have kids.
There's a roller coaster. Unfortunately, I'm 45 and can't remember the name of the place right now, but there is a roller coaster in Cavendish. It's wooden, I think.
Yeah.
Gosh, what is the name of that place? That's going to bug me now.
Sandspit?
Yes, Sandspit. Good job.
So they have
we figured that out together.
They have a roller coaster?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
And miniature golf.
It's not Magic Mountain.
No. It was enough of a roller coaster that I didn't like it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You were on it?
Yeah.
Oh,
I've been on it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Gosh, where have you been?
I don't know. I'm not there, apparently. Anyway, so they, and Anne of Green Gables is there, but the group for the Fibre Festival is also working on providing information about different excursions and experiences and that kind of thing, so family things to do.
We're more vineyards, microbrews. There's a really good restaurant, Point Prim Chowder House, which you have to book weeks in advance.
Right.
On the water as well.
Yeah, apparently they made David Letterman wait.
Yeah, well, we shouldn't say that because we don't know for sure. That's the rumor.
There's an urban legend, a non-urban legend.
A rural legend.
A rural legend.
That he was made to wait in his car until some of the locals cleared out of the table because,
He
that's
showed
where
up.
you live with the other 364 days of the year in a small town.
But he didn't have a reservation. It probably figured, because it is kind of like really at the end of a dirt road, literally, right on the water, because it's right across from Point Prim. There's quite a famous lighthouse in Point Prim. So it's really like right there. The food is absolutely excellent and well worth the wait.
Yes.
They did make, he did get to eat, apparently. I don't know.
After they closed.
We have to ask the people that own it. We know them pretty well.
Yeah.
We should just
We'll
ask
heard the
for
story
sure.
once. We'll check the details.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, it's a good story anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just a little tip about small town living is that you're not going to kick out a local.
Right.
Particularly since the owners are from away.
Yes.
And get away with that. So instead,
well, everybody
make
needs
the
a
big
reservation.
celebrity wait.
Yeah,
It's funny.
and everybody needs a reservation. So
you gotta always be thinking.
Yeah, they're always booked. Like it's crazy. It's excellent.
Yeah. Okay.
So and there's beaches. There's actually 50 beaches, but not a lot of the famous ones.
Right.
There are a couple that have been ranked as very good, but they're not in our immediate area. So they're still in the eastern part of the island, like Basin Head
and Panmure Island.
And Panmure
would be the two
Island.
big beaches out this way.
And there's a national park, which I lived here for 7 years and never went to visit, which is called Greenwich, which has a fabulous beach.
Yeah.
You haven't seen it yet.
No, but I'm gonna definitely go this
It's
summer.
unbelievably beautiful.
And how far
huge.
is that from our place? 30 minutes?
40,
40?
like 45.
Okay. But it's stunning, I guess.
It's stunning.
Everybody
and
raves about
kind
it.
of like the best kept secret ever.
Okay.
The day we were there, we walked on the beach for literally a kilometer and maybe passed like, I don't know, 20 people.
Okay, go Greenwich.
Yeah, it's really, really something. I was shocked.
Okay, I really need to go.
Yes. And we'd heard about it from other tourists that
Yeah.
came to our shop, but had never been there, which is a bit embarrassing, I have to say. And they have a beautiful interpretation center there, and hiking
They have,
trails.
like, indoor plumbing and all that.
Yes.
Change rooms.
Yes, they got a lookout tower.
It's a federal national park.
Yes.
It's a national park.
It's a national park. It's
I
unbelievable.
don't think I realized we had a second national park.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you have the Cavendish National Park, which is all of that.
Right.
Like the hub, the center of tourism.
I think that one's not called Cavendish. It's like the Prince Edward Island National. It's got a different name.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Um,
This is really bad. I have no idea. So much beach time in our lives.
Yeah,
That's what that's all about.
But the Greenwich is really something.
Yeah.
I can definitely attest to that, and you're not going to run into the traffic.
Right.
You can pass little towns that are really cute too, like St. Peter's. It's right at St. Peter's actually.
Okay.
Like a few
I
minutes
don't even
away
know where
from
that
St.
is.
Pete- oh.
I mean, that's not helping me.
All right, you're hopeless. Okay. All right. So that's the travel advice. Is it's probably worth renting a car.
Yeah.
If you're only here for a short time, and the other thing to do is there is also another the Belfast Mini Mills is close by to us, about
That's
7
7
kilometers
kilometers,
away. Yeah, so too far to walk.
Yeah, but there's no like little village with walking.
No.
Like nothing like that. Everything's a little bit spread out because there's also the town of Montague, which has some restaurants and a new brewery, Bogside, which is brews and barbecue.
Yeah.
Which I also haven't tried yet, but I'm dying to.
I've been there.
My mouth is watering just thinking about it.
And one of the guys there actually does, I can't pronounce, like he makes charcuterie.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah, and it's really
so that's a spot on the river in
yes,
Montague.
the chef is quite well renowned as there as
Dave
well.
Mottershaw?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yes.
Our friend Dave.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
Yeah. So that's that. So you can, there's lots of stuff to do. You just need to be organized a little bit. It's not
and
kind
not
of a
as much
spur
for
of the
the
minute.
kids as there is up on the North Shore in Cavendish.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the travel advice. And
Okay.
ask us anything. So Mimi, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Okay, we got through it. It's getting dark now,
Yeah.
so we should sign off.
Yep, and we'll just to make a mention, join our Ravelry group.
Yes.
It's the one with the sheep wearing the Anna Green Gables hat.
Of course.
Because I didn't put the name on it.
Okay.
Only the people in the know. know where it is. It's like the nightclub with the door.
Okay,
with
right.
just no name on the door.
Okay.
Okay, and if you enjoyed our podcast, then give us a thumbs up.
Yep. And please subscribe if you haven't already.
Yeah.
It helps us get seen and cooperate with the YouTube algorithm, which is really important to continue
which nobody can
our
really figure out.
podcast success.
Yeah, couldn't figure out. So I think that's it. So hopefully everybody had a safe and happy New Year's last night, New Year's Eve, and we're wishing everybody the best for 2020. It's 2020.
I love how that sounds. I feel like it's going to be a good one.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can remember when I was 35 and I could hardly wait till the year changed to 2000.
Let's not talk about it.
But that now is 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Not as charming for me.
No, not as charming for any of us.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
All right, bye.
Bye.